Welcome to Agile Data. My name is Romans. I'm the author of the concept and the main contributor for the framework. The next cool feature I wanted to talk to you about in my videos is ability to extend and expand, configure the framework. So even though it's very simple on the top, it is pretty sophisticated inside, and pretty much any use case can be implemented. As my first example, I wanted to look at the pattern when the database uses a Boolean field, but it defines it through some sort of really weird enum. So for clients, I don't use regular 0 and 1 for the Booleans, but instead I'm using yeah and nope. Now, can Agile Data handle something like that and convert it into a proper Booleans? Well, it can, but I decided I want to go one step beyond, and I have created this fancy Boolean field class, which I will be using instead of a default field. So notice I have defined fancy Boolean field in here, and it extends the field class. So it doesn't really change much, but it does define a couple of default properties. So I don't have to do it every time because I can forget. So if it's a type of Booleans which I typically use all across the database, I'll just automate it and use this field over here. Let's look how it works. So as soon as I enable that, there's a new field, isVAP, and it shows yeah for certain fields. I can go in, edit, and it does show in the UI as a separate Boolean because that's how the rest of your application see this field. Is just a regular Boolean field. The next use case is this weirdly looking country table, which doesn't actually have ID column. Now, for some ORMs, this might be a problem, not for Agile Data. Here's how we define it. First, I have defined a class which is called fancy country, and again it's extension of the model. I'm specifying which table that it is coming from, and I'm saying that, by the way, it will not have the ID field. It will have another two fields though. Inside the client, so all I need to define, well, actually this one is optional. I will just comment it for a moment to show you that it's not actually needed. And as soon as I refresh, I have a field called country, and I'm actually pulling the name of the country from the country field. However, if I click date, it attempts to display a drop-down, and it doesn't really know how to work with that table yet. So in this case, I decided that I want to communicate with the UI framework and asked her to use a line instead of the drop-down on the edit fields. So when this comes up, I can change it to UK, and it works perfectly. The final type of integration I wanted to show you is actually pretty sophisticated one, and is using an extension which is called Audit Log or Audit Trail. And in this method, I'm initializing the audit for all of my models inside my persistence. So I'm passing the DB, the persistence, inside this method over here. It uses a hook, which we haven't actually looked into, to set up the audit capabilities across all of my models. So now that I have uncommented this field, I'm going to refresh the page. Still works great. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna set price of 10. Let's say we'll change the invoice ID as well. And right, so I did a couple of changes, and as I was doing those changes, every time I modify something, it would record it into the database. And let's look how actually it does record it. So I changed the line for the invoice where I updated the ID of the invoice and I set the price. And you see that there's a human readable description over here, but it also contains a little bit of JSON saying which field, what was the old values and what were the new values. And then I changed also the invoice reference, which was inv9 before, but now it's inv9 OK. Not only it is very transparent when I add it, but I also can undo certain things. Okay, this is safe. But the other thing it said is risky. Okay, can I undo this one probably as well? And as you see, as I'm undoing it, logs which was undone, so I wouldn't undo it multiple times, and also stores the ID of the revert. So now when I'm going back over here, these values are back, right? The name of the invoice is back. So this is how easy to extend Agile data, both inside your project and by using third-party extensions like this audit trail. Thanks for watching my video, and if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for the future videos.